We also have our first subject, Brady versus Rodgers, but we can't get it alone because this kind of discussion shouldn't just require Doc and Prof. We enlisted the name of two souls with great minds in the sporting world. Doc, who are they?
We have Mack and Mel P. Mack obviously writes for the UNC blog, so he's very well familiar with the sporting world. And Mel P. from our great Four Eyes podcast. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. Welcome.
No. So, thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. So apparently there was a debate on Facebook, which I couldn't get in on. Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers.
Yes. The question was, who would you take number one in an all-time NFL draft between these two QBs?
Now, I already agreed that I would go last because I didn't want to. I wanted to hear what people said. I wasn't on the discussion yesterday because I was doing other things. But I would be curious to hear what everybody's take on it is. I know, John Gotti, you said you had your opinion. I know I heard Mel P. You had a strong opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we should start with Mel P.
The floor is yours.
Chris, what was that, Chris?
Chris,
okay, so it seems like
we literally just started, Chris. We really have these kind of problems already? Chris. Chris. Chris!
Okay, sounds like we got Mel P back. Chris is Mel P.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yes, Mel.
So what was your?
My whole thing of it was, yes, I understand where everybody comes from with the whole Aaron Rodgers, but how could you not want to start a franchise with Brady? I mean, I'm not even going to even start from the championships. And the guy's just like, I mean, how could you not want to go? I mean, part of being a leader has always been he's had only one missed season throughout his whole career, one major injury throughout his whole career, and seems to play every game. I mean, last year, yeah, he took the 4-game hit, but I mean, he still put up MVP numbers last year. To where, and I mean, I know most people go with the whole he's always had weapons, but he always makes weapons out of basically nobody sometimes. He makes nobodies in the stars. Case in point, this year. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, he's had, 3 top-notch wide receivers every year he's been there. I mean, Jennings. You might even want to say Cobb. Some people may even say. So, I mean, that's where I'm coming from with the whole thing. Like I said, I get the whole everybody likes Aaron Rodgers, but me personally, I'd rather go with the clutch guy, and he's clutch.
Tom Brady, gotcha. Mac, who do you got? I mean, I don't let personal feelings cloud your judgment. I know.
Why you put me in the box, man?
We're going straight down the line here. Who you got?
Ooh.
It's a rough one, I know.
Yeah. So, going straight down the line, I'm biased.
Of course.
I would... it's tough because, I mean, I personally feel like sometimes when it comes to Tom Brady, the lines between where, how good he is and where how good of a coach Belichick is, they kind of blur. And I mean, and that's not taking anything away from Brady. Like, he's obviously a very, very talented quarterback.
Absolutely.
One of the best we'll ever see. But
Aaron Rodgers has a lot of tools too. Like he has a little bit more athleticism. He's able to like scramble, get out of trouble, all that. He hasn't really played behind that many good offensive lines, and so for him to be able to do what he does with the risk of getting hit all the time, I find is impressive. I mean, like Tom Brady hasn't exactly played behind like the absolute best lineman the whole time, but I mean, I just feel like if you put Aaron Rodgers in Tom Brady's situation in New England, things might be a little bit more interesting than even with Brady there. But that I have that feeling. So I would probably take Rodgers a little bit over Brady, just with that in mind. I feel like some of the things that he can do just like creatively inside and outside of the pocket would be something that would kind of push him to the edge. I was trying to see.
Absolutely.
Yes. So I'm going to start off my argument by saying both quarterbacks, Hall of Fame caliber, heck of athletes. I mean, you really can't go wrong with either or. But the matter of this debate is
always going PC.
The matter of this debate is to choose one. And if I had to choose one to start off a franchise completely with, I'm counting in, it's, let's just say like a scrub coach, scrub defensive line, scrub defense, scrub, core. Like someone who can start building more people that's just not part of the system. I had to go with Aaron Rodgers.
Hold on. Even though Brady just did what you just said, though.
With the franchise that basically was pretty good by the time he became the starter. So,
that's a good point.
I mean, at what point did he help build up Bill Belichick to be, the coach that he is right now? What point did he, not have at least one side of the ball that, he can lean on to help out? And I'm talking about defense and offensively. Like, when I'm thinking about it as, like, the Packers approached the Aaron Rodgers situation as, we're rebuilding, we're looking to build around him. I don't really think they really said that, though. In New England.
I think, but at the same time, I mean, if you look at the way that both players came into their starting roles, Aaron was brought in behind Brett Favre, who was already Hall of Fame quarterback, who already. But Brady came in.
We missed a little bit of what you said.
I was saying like Aaron came in. He came in behind Brett Favre, who was already accomplished so much. And the team was already good. He didn't have any. He didn't really, he didn't have to. They didn't really have to change too much. But when Brady came in off the bench, team they was mediocre, good. First year he started went to a Super Bowl.
Oh,
they didn't really have no starter players. They didn't have we know how Belichick is. He don't get star players like that.
So, because they didn't have star players, so what you're saying is that the Patriots were bums? Or were they just
I'm not saying they were bums. No, they weren't bums. No.
But but my point is you're not inheriting a team that were just pretty good because the Patriots were pretty good by the time Tom Brady finally took over. That I'm not saying what you're saying is incorrect. I'm just saying the point of the question is you're trying to build a franchise around this quarterback. So building a franchise around the quarterback, when you think about it, and I'm thinking about it in the way of basketball and football, is you're using that quarterback to build up the entire team. The team stinks. The team was like not even playoff caliber, not even on the way of it. Like, I'm thinking about it in that sense.
I'm thinking about it as in when they took over. I mean, like I said, both of them came in at two different. My bad. I was saying they had two different ways coming in. I mean, Brady only set a year and a half. Aaron Rodgers set maybe 2 or 3 years. Right or wrong?
Absolutely.
Okay, so when Brady took over, his team, I mean, they were still trying to get used to him as well as him getting used to them. And Rodgers, he had a lot more time to sit on the bench and learn that philosophy of how Mike McCarthy ran. So that's what I'm trying to get. Like, I understand the whole part, but I mean, it's just kind of hard to say that they're building around Aaron Rodgers when Aaron Rodgers came into a real good situation compared to how Brady came in.
Let's see. So, based off your argument, you're saying that Aaron Rodgers came into a better situation. Um, 11-3 2001, 9-7 2002, 14-2 2003 2004, 10-6. That doesn't sound like he came into a
He
bad
didn't,
situation though.
but he didn't start. He didn't start until the 2001 season. He wasn't drafted until '99.
And I understand that, but I'm basically piggybacking what you're saying though.
Okay, but he didn't start till 2001 when he started his first full season. He came in halfway in '90, if I'm not mistaken.
Alrighty. So,
Well, I mean, like I said, I understand either point of view of it. I mean, I understand why people would say Aaron Rodgers. Hell, I mean, I probably would too. That would probably be my second choice. But just going off of the whole clutch factor and resume that they have now, have to go.
all right. Of course, I appreciate everybody's opinion. Now I'm going to go ahead and say, of course, since you gave a PC answer, I got to give a PC answer. Both guys are great quarterbacks. You know, they're absolutely great quarterbacks.
That was very gaudy of you, sir.
Yes, I thought so. I thought so. You guys make some great points, and some of the points that I agreed with. I will say that Aaron Rodgers did have a better overall team, even though looking back on it, the running game wasn't all there, and some of the offensive linemen might have been a little bit too young at the time. Some of them are pretty good now, but they're still pretty young. I mean, but when you look at this team, they were pretty stacked. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers, they had Ryan Grant, who was still coming into his own, Brandon Jackson, Donald Driver, Greg Jennings, James Jones, a rookie, Jordy Nelson, Jermichael Finley, Donald Lee. So they had a great amount of pieces. I will say that the Patriots' defense might have been a little better. And I think that's where they would get the nod if we were talking about teams. But if we're talking about a quarterback to lead you into your future. Now, there's only one factor in this, and this is the only reason I'm going to make this decision, is because if you don't have a certain system, you don't have the same type of player. So I'm going to go on a limb here and say that I would probably pick Aaron Rodgers also. And the only reason I'm going to say that, it's not because I think Tom Brady's not great. I think Tom Brady is a great quarterback. But the New England system, I feel like, was built specifically for Tom Brady. And the only reason I say that, actually, I take that back. The New England system is built for any quarterback that they bring in.
Okay, yeah.
And right, John Gotti, right, exactly. John Gotti would agree. Matt Schaub traded. I'm sure Brandon knows all about that. Traded. Didn't do so well. He started out. He had a spark when he started, but he turned out to be garbage. Matt Castle had a great season, but at the end of the day, I give a lot of Brady's credit and accolades to the Josh McDaniels, to the Charlie Weisses. Those offensive coordinators worked to make sure he was successful. The short passes, he doesn't need top flight receivers. He really just needs somebody that's going to catch the football. But you think about it, over the years where they had Kevin Falk for a lot of his beginning years, so I mean, Kevin Volk out of the backfield was outstanding. But they also had some pretty solid wide receivers, not to the tier that, Aaron Rodgers had, but Troy Brown was no slouch. Terry Glenn, like some of these guys were pretty good. And he made it work because of the way that their system is. But that defense was pretty sick. Ty Law is probably one of my favorite corners. Lloyd Malloy is probably one of my favorite safeties of all time. So it's like some of these guys that they had on the defense is really where it would have came and made a difference. But if I had to do it, I would probably take Aaron Rodgers because of his flexibility. Not because of his skill, but because he's more flexible and he's more able to adapt. Like, I don't think Tom Brady would be able to adapt to a long passing game if we needed him to, because he's never been asked to do that.
But he did do that though.
Because you have Randy Moss. That's not really a long pass. That's just, hey, let me throw the ball to Randy Moss.
Throw the ball to Randy Moss, and Randy Moss is going to
come on. You can't count that year. He just threw it up. Yeah, I would throw it up to Randy Moss, and I can't throw 30, 40 yards.
I mean, that's literally what you do on Madden back in the day.
Yeah, like, you just throw it up to Randy Moss.
Dante Culpepper to Randy Moss all day long.
Yes, all day. You have to. I mean, they probably didn't even have most of those plays written down in the playbook. Because, I mean, come on. But like I said, Brady is a great quarterback. But, I mean, you think about it. I mean, if you go back, if Bledsoe never gets hurt, do we hear Tom Brady? Does he get this push? Does he stay in the Patriots uniform? If, like, you just never know.
But you can say the same thing about Aaron, though. If they wouldn't have had that beef with Brett Favre, with Aaron Rodgers, I mean, like, seriously, Aaron Rodgers.
We knew Rodgers was going to get the call. It was always just a matter of when. I mean, and when they pushed Brett Favre out, it was kind of awkward because it was like, hey, he wants to go to Minnesota. We don't want him to go to Minnesota because we don't want to play him 2 times a year. And then we had to play him anyway. Mm-hmm. So it was like, that's the only reason it was news, as John Gotti would say. It shouldn't have been news, but it was notable news because it was Brett Favre. I mean, that's just it. But ultimately, I mean, sounds like 3-1. Obviously, we're choosing Aaron Rodgers. I'm really choosing him because I really believe that, number one, although Tom Brady can definitely drive, I think it's a lot of play calling rather than, hey, he just knows it. You know what I mean? Now, of course, in his 15th, 16th year, 17th year, whatever it is.
Yep.
Yeah, he just knows it, and it's like, I knew once they brought Josh McDaniels back that he was going to have another great season. He was going to try to destroy the league because him and Josh McDaniels just have this chemistry. But if you notice in those first 4 games, when they had that rookie quarterback in, they planned it specifically for him. And when you plan a game specifically for a quarterback, I mean, it's kind of hard not to be successful. And that kid played great. So when Tom Brady goes out and that kid comes in.
Oh, you talking about the kid from NC State?
NC State, yes. That guy, oh my God. I can't wait to see him play football again.
I mean, and then there's the Jimmy Garoppolo factor, too.
And he had a great year. But I think he'll most likely be, I don't know, it's kind of tough. I don't know.
Well, and that kind of like carries on to your point, though. Like, it seems like whenever the Patriots, like, if Tom Brady was out for, I mean, he wasn't out often, obviously.
Right.
This Deflategate thing was like a perfect example of like, how they tend to coach towards the quarterbacks, and it works really well somehow.
Right.
But then like Aaron Rodgers goes down, and the Packers they don't even know how to football no more.
No idea. I mean, Matt Flynn had that year.
He did. He did pretty decent, but it seemed like everybody else that came in, it was like, like if they won, it was kind of like, well, it wasn't going to be that hard to win that game. But then like they'd get smacked the next game, and then I don't know.
I
you
feel
could
you.
just tell all of like the systematic stuff with the Patriots. Like I said, I'm not taking anything away from Brady as much as I would like to, but I'm not going to.
But you see what I mean? Though it's like,
Yeah.
and most teams now, it is about next man up. Like we know it. It's about next man up. But with the Patriots, it's really something different. Like next man up, I feel like, hey, the coaching staff is so prepared that it's like next man up, like that next guy is going to be a beast.
Yeah, it's like Bill Belichick to the NFL is like Greg Popovich to the Spurs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I completely agree. And that is our discussion. So 3 Rodgers, 1 Brady, which is respectable because, again, two great quarterbacks.
And it's
So
not saying that you can't go with either one. All we're trying to say
absolutely.
is, you know,
We would
it's a
choose Brady. We
better,
would choose
1-2 because of course, looking back at it now, Brady would be a number 2 pick after Aaron Rodgers based off this conversation. It won't be a RG3 Andrew Luck kind of situation.
absolutely, which neither one of them right now is really looking great. But that's another discussion.